Imagine this. You spend 20 years training, buy armor worth the price of an entire village, and become a literally... Then some random guy in a dirty shirt walks out, pulls a trigger, and your entire era ends in 1 second. So where did all those iron heroes go? We're used to seeing knights as noble, handsome guys in shining armor, doing nothing but rescuing princesses and fighting dragons. But reality was way dirtier. Most of them probably smelled like an old sneaker. A medieval knight wasn't just a warrior. He was more like a modern F-16 fighter jet. Insanely expensive, hard to maintain, but once he showed up on the battlefield, everyone else immediately had a very bad day. Today, we'll figure out how these iron guys appeared, why they dominated for centuries, and how, in the end, an ordinary guy with a stick sent them into retirement. It all started around the 8th century. Europe was pure chaos back then. Vikings dropping in unannounced, Arab cavalry raids, nomads everywhere. Infantry just couldn't keep up. You can't chase a horse while running in sandals. So kings had a realization. We need a fast, mobile, rapid response unit. But there was a problem. Before the invention of the stirrup, fighting on horseback felt like sitting on a sack of potatoes. Hit someone too hard with a spear, and you flew off the horse instead. The stirrup was a technological breakthrough on the level of the first iPhone. Now you could brace your feet, become one with the horse, and smash into the enemy so hard they flew into the next region, while you stayed firmly in the saddle. The first knights didn't wear golden helmets. These were just tough guys in leather jackets who could ride fast and professionally beat people for money. No romance, just business. Being a knight was insanely expensive. A good war horse cost as much as 20 to 30 regular horses. A full set of quality armor could cost the same as an entire village. The people, the cows, and the church included. No rich dad or generous feudal lord? Congratulations, you're infantry. Your job is to stand in the front line and hope you don't get trampled. Now let's talk about comfort. Bathroom breaks? Armor had special openings, but if your stomach betrayed you in the middle of a battle, you basically turned into a very unpleasant metal can. And hygiene. Under all that steel, knights wore a gambeson, basically a heavy, padded jacket that felt like walking around in a thick quilt. In summer, under the sun, it was easily 40 degrees Celsius in there, which made it a luxury resort for lice. A knight could be a hero on paper, but in real life, he was constantly itching. It was real torture, just the kind history books usually skip. To justify the fact that they were basically professional enforcers, knights came up with a code of honor. Be polite, protect the weak, blah blah blah. In reality, the main rule was simple. Don't kill another knight unless you absolutely have to. And no, not because they were kind. A dead baron is just a pile of rusty metal. A living baron? That's a jackpot. On the battlefield, you weren't trying to kill a noble enemy. You were trying to knock him off his horse and take him prisoner. This was called a ransom. You take him to your tower, and while he drinks your wine like an honored guest, his peasants back home are selling their last cow to gather enough gold. Knights saw each other as members of an elite club. Today you capture a count, tomorrow he might capture you. It was basically a medieval hostage business, where the product was your status and last name. And to avoid getting bored between wars, they invented tournaments. Think modern football, except instead of a ball, it's you. And instead of a yellow card, a chunk of wood flies straight into your helmet at 50 kilometers per hour. Tournaments made people rich. The winner took the loser's armor and horse. This was basically the medieval Forbes list. Whoever swung a stick better ended up on top. Knights thought they were unstoppable, right up until they met English longbowmen and crossbowmen. At the Battle of Crécy, the French heavy luxury edition was simply shot down from a distance. It turned out that a peasant who trained for a couple of weeks could disable a nobleman who had trained for 20 years. For the elite, this was deeply insulting. And then, firearms arrived. Early muskets were inaccurate and slow, but the bullet didn't care about your coat of arms, your honor, or how thick your armor was. It just punched a hole through metal. The knight became too expensive and too slow to be worth it. Why spend a fortune on one horse-mounted tank when for the same money, you could hire 1,000 guys with guns? And that's how the age of iron heroes quietly came to an end.
Knights lasted for almost 800 years, but technology eventually ate them alive.
They didn't disappear overnight. They just took off the iron, donated it to museums, and became officers in nice uniforms. The age of knighthood ended the moment gunpowder became cheaper than honor. And yet, we still remember them. Probably because, deep down, a part of all of us wanted to be a knight, to have that armor, that sword, and the feeling that it could solve everything. That's it for today. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.